minutes. Alright, sit. And action.
Well, my name's Sasha Bennett. I'm one of the two writers and I'm the director of We Still Steal the Old Way. Well, it's a follow-up to last year's We Still Kill the Old Way. And I was very keen, because I'd actually written the end scene on the first one to deliberately sort of be a hook that further adventures would happen. Which is something I felt very strongly about, because I sort of really loved the characters, and once we were shooting it, all the actors were just brilliant coming together. They obviously bring a sort of a wealth of expertise and knowledge with them, and you know, they've been on so many shows and films now that just one little note will sort of encourage a conversation and just build on, you know, the script is a foundation on these kind of movies, and we just constantly are trying to make it better. So we'll do one take and it'll be, oh, I like that little bit that you did there, and then, oh, maybe you can. So that's what you get when you work with great actors, is sort of, you know, you start with one thing and you end with something that's sort of even better than what you originally first thought of. In a funny way, even though we're in a prison, it actually feels bigger, and it feels more of a sort of a bigger movie in terms of not just the way it looks, but also the story and the characters. You know, we haven't got to introduce them now. So there's more time spent on characterisation and the banter that goes on between them. So yeah, hopefully you'll get everything you enjoyed about the first one, you'll get even more of in this one. There's the action is bigger and bolder. The story is sort of more complex and a few more twists thrown in, and the humour between the boys is just, you know, it's gone up a notch. It's brilliant.
Iron ore cannot be educated into gold. What? Marco. Marco? Everything has its limit. Right, let's get to work.
And cut.
Shut there.
Ismail.
Yes, sir.
Shall we have
Sasha, he's very talented. He's a very talented director, and it's a pleasure to work with him. He's very easy. He knows, he's a great screenwriter, an ace director, and he's one of the nicest person I ever met. And when he's shooting, he doesn't change. He's just himself. We've been shooting for 2 weeks on this Richmond prisons. The advantage will be that the set is almost done. It has a production value, a very big production value. And the disadvantage will be that because it's not a film set, the cells are very narrow. You are working on small spaces and you have to adapt, and all your shots that you have on a list have to adapt to the space. We can move a wall or get rid of a door or whatever we want. And also we have very small windows in terms of light, very small windows in every cell. So when the sun moves, we lost a lot of light very fast, and we need to be very fast and have a plan about how are we going to shoot.
Rather than trying to anticipate it. Yeah. Yeah, but you're right, it's a hit on the shoot. Yeah. Interesting as well. They always do that. And it's because they watch movies. That's right. So therefore I should do that. So it's literally just okay, going forward. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, action!
It's been really great because I've got to sort of step up and become a producer on this one as well, and having sort of known the cast and crew from the previous one, it's just we've all sort of grown up that little bit and sort of taken those steps together. So yeah, absolutely love doing what I do and love being on set every day, so great to be here. So in the previous film, we had obviously the old versus new, so the older versus the younger, so the E2 gang versus the Archers, Archer gang. In this one, it's focusing mainly on the Archer gang, and Richie and his boys are breaking into prison to try and break someone out. So it's their story, and it's more about the older generation of gangsters, which is really cool because it's great to just see them on set being them again, And that first day where we had the boys all back together was just such a magical moment. So we're pretty much near the end of the shoot now, and everyone's starting to get a little bit sad. And I call it separation anxiety, because end of week 2-3, you start sort of seeing rifts form a little bit, because people just don't want to separate. We want to carry on and keep on making these films forever.
Because we actually feel banged up.
Yeah, we do now. 3 weeks in here, it's been enough. Yeah, I've actually applied for parole.
Well, we are filming in this decommissioned prison, which
I thought it was an old people's home.
it's quite like a lot of old people's home, but it's a decommissioned prison, and it's in itself quite a depressing place. So you have to keep laughing all the time.
I just found out that during the Second World War, this was a interrogation centre for German spies, and Hess was incarcerated here.
Really?
Yeah. In
That's
that
interesting.
house, in Latchmere House, and Lord Orr.
Really?
He was in here. Yeah.
He was hanged.
He was hanged. Yeah, from that tree, I think.
Well, the thing is, we all get caught stealing bullion, and so we end up in prison. And there are people who like us in prison, and people who don't like us in prison. We have to cope with the people who don't like us in prison. We also have to try and find a way of breaking out. So the movie is mostly set in prison, with all of us working out ways of how we're going to get out of there.
That was very well put, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was a
I
retirement
thought that sounds a
home.
much better film.
No, you're right. We all get on very well together, and we all have a lot of laughs.
We do.
And when we're not acting, that's all we do really, is laugh, actually. And we have a nice time.
Mostly in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
Because I'm the oldest here, I tell most stories because they don't know any.
Yeah, right. He's got this ageist thing where he reckons he's younger. Well, he is, but it's not.
He's actually the youngest of all of us, in fact, by a long, 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 long way.
Well, it's not that long. Well, it is, of course.
Long as in tall, he means. Yeah.
I think the thing about, 3 elderly gangsters is it starts out funny, quite as an idea. And I think, don't you think, guys, that the thing we try to do is to make them amusing.
Yeah.
We can't be too serious about it.
No,
Otherwise,
we're not.
It's a little hard to believe it anyway. But if we make it funny, it just makes it more interesting.
I think We Still Steal the Old Way delivers everything the first one did, but it's a more performance-driven movie. It's much more intense on the guys because they're in this kind of focused environment. It's more violent. It's funnier. The Ogilvy one-liners are very much in attendance, and just expect a really nasty bastard of a villain. We don't want to make films of people getting shot in Range Rovers and football hooligans. That stuff is so kind of cliched. So we did the urban revenge movie, but now we want to have a bit of fun with it, hopefully make it something more international, and not just another, if you'll forgive me, Britflick, because we always want to try and aim high. I think one of the lessons that we learned on the first movie, and it's always a lesson on these low budget movies, is if we can concentrate the production around one base, whether it's this prison, Wimbledon Studios on the first movie, we shot almost everything there. When I made Vendetta, we shot it all at the Peacock Gym. That's the key to making low budget independent movies work in the UK. If you're travelling every day, forget it, it's not going to happen. Especially with a cast who are mostly in their 70s. We don't want them coming to set being worn out. But it's, the first shoot was genuinely the happiest professional experience of my life, and this one's up there as well. It's just so nice having Ian and Chris and Tony and the guys back. And working with Sasha, someone like Sasha, who's such a positive person, comes on set every day, hugs every member of the crew. I've never known anyone that does that. It's good hugs as well, definitely a 9 out of 10. And it just sets the tone for the rest of the day, which is wonderful.